Hey, this is Rich Hart, and today's guest is Dr. Leslie Gordon,
who is a speech, voice, and accent expert who helps speakers and creatives with clear sound, confidence, and unmistakably being themselves. Her approach treats the voice not as something to fix, but as a dynamic instrument to being understood, tuned, and played with purpose. Multilingual in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, Leslie brings a deep understanding of language, identity, and performance to her coaching. Trained as an applied linguist and a performing arts and informed voice coach, she helps speakers, leaders, and creatives use their voices with greater intention. Leslie Gordon, welcome.
Hi there, Rich.
To the program. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Superb. Leslie, I got a question for you.
Ask it.
So when we all grow up itself and we're all imagining things themselves we could do for a living itself,
Yes.
all right? How does a linguist come out of this one?
Everyone wanted to be a linguist growing up. I mean, it was either that or Wonder Woman, and, I would spin around and then nothing ever happened, so I went with linguistics
Superb.
instead.
So tell me, who are you? What do you do from a linguistic standpoint?
Yeah, I'm really all about helping people access the voice that achieves their goals. And my specific entry point to that has always been through language and accent learning, language and accent teaching, accessing those different layers of the person. It was my personal journey as a kid. You were asking, how did you stumble onto that? I loved the people around me, the cultures around me when I was a young kid, languages and accents they were like codes I was cracking when I was a kid. But what I pretty quickly realized is that they're layers of a person, and that we access those, we use them to benefit us, to help us belong, or sometimes to help us distance.
Right.
And so it's very much a part of the person that I love to bring out, not only the accent, but just the confident voice as well. Yeah.
That voice, rate, pitch, speed, intonation, direction,
Yes.
the strength of the voice, and things. This is all things themselves we talk about as communicators.
Exactly.
Through the areas themselves, content, story, human entertainment. Everybody's got a story.
Mm-hmm.
People themselves communicating that story and getting it out is extremely advantageous and opportunistic for a lot of folks themselves doing that. So how does a linguistic work? All right, or a linguist, work within the dynamics of working with individuals to really better communications?
A linguist would look at those factors that you just mentioned as part of a system that creates meaning. So we as humans read those signals that you just mentioned. We read tempo, we read intonation, we read clarity when someone's being very emphatic, right? We make sense of those cues. And so I, as a linguist, take those cues. I understand their meaning. I understand how they're made specifically. I can help get in there and help you turn those dials. But then I, as a speaker and someone who helps speakers, know that those are the knobs on your control board. We need a little more of this. We need a little more or a little less of that.
Right.
And so I bring the technical expertise with the understanding of the person and the story, and we craft all of that together.
As well. Let's break that down a little bit.
Yes.
All right. How about a client, that you would do? Because our listeners, viewers themselves, they're now keyed in a little bit, and they're kind of turn around and say, okay, do I need a linguistic program? Do I need a linguist? All right. From what they're doing is from a communicator or speech and story, or bridging maybe just humor and comedy. Okay. And how that voice changes drastically to create mood and setting and dynamics. And so let's think about this. What would be an example? All right. How would you help an individual itself, coming to you?
So this will sound a little paradoxical, but I try to help someone take the concern about performance out of their performance, and then I help them realize that their voice and their person and their energy are tools to dial up and dial down. Yes, that is performance. I'm teaching performance. But what I'm actually helping someone do is just bring themselves out in the moment. Because you and I and everyone really, we move those dials all the time if we're sitting one-to-one. Right. If you're telling someone your favorite joke, if you're leaning in and telling someone a secret, right? We make those modifications all the time.
Sure.
But when we are public facing, or when we are in high stakes contexts, or nervous, feeling that imposter syndrome, whatever it might be, we forget that we have those things at our disposal.
Right.
And so often when I'm working with a person, whether it's a professional in corporate or higher ed or some other space, or if it's a creative, I help them get back to that place where exploration and curiosity and turning those knobs is something easy and fun.
Right. Exactly.
And it's top of brain rather than being something, the last thing they reach for.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Good.
Yeah.
And so your clients and how your clients work and develop this relationship, long-term, short-term, is it something itself that they're now just keying into or chiming into? Is how do we get started with something like this?
Well, I can answer that a couple of ways. So someone might come to me, an individual that would want the work, or maybe it's a person wanting me to help their team, right? To communicate better, to be more present, to be more effective, and be more themselves. Sometimes the pains that bring a person or a team to that work are long time pains.
Right.
These are often people who are in every other way crushing it.
Okay. All right.
But when it's time to communicate that message, that competence, whatever it is, they lose the sense of themselves. They lose the sense of their message. They leave off those control knobs that we were talking about. So there's that part of it. When I'm actually working with someone or even a group, the work itself can be short-term or it can be long-term.
Okay.
And the difference is when you're learning something that you need to turn around quickly, it's often maybe not a super deep dive. It's a surface level. Let's get the high impact stuff done. Let's hit it hard, turn it around quickly. That's often the work I do with creatives, right? If you think about someone who needs an accent or a shift in their speech for a special project, right? We hit it hard, we get it done, and then they're ready to move on. Someone that wants to change vocal patterns for long term would probably need more work, because what they're actually doing, in addition to changing their speaking patterns, they're readjusting their relationship with their voice.
Right.
And that is a deeper dive and does take more time to make that shift.
So the individuals that you possibly work with, are those folks themselves that are aspiring in the speaking and communication world.
Often,
those are the folks themselves that are teachers, all right, maybe business, political figures, and those types of individuals themselves are there. It's not only the plan. It's not only we know communication. We know speaking in front of people rates right up there next to death. All right, without a doubt, for a lot of folks. Does this help comfort individuals' drive? All right, to want to speak if they know the nuts and bolts, or know some additional ways that they can fine tune what it is?
Absolutely.
Because we're talking about breathing too as well.
Oh, breath is huge in what I do.
Okay.
And absolutely, I would say most people that approach me to work, again, whether it's an individual or someone wanting to train a team, comfort comes up first.
Okay.
And it's the recognition that in a speaking moment, if it's in a boardroom, a high-stakes one-on-one, if it's in a big room full of people, that the message drives the moment, not the comfort and the presence.
Right.
And we want to reverse that. We want to make those connections in the room. We want the audience, small or large, to feel that they're with them. So the work is often about recognizing what is happening to lower your comfort level, so that you can recognize the patterns, change that stimulus, that impulse, and go in the other direction.
Right.
And be in yourself and with the people in the room. And so yes, breath is huge. Awareness of the bodily reaction.
Right.
You know, you often hear speakers say, "I'm fine until I stand up," and then it's the sweaty palms and I'm sick to my stomach and all my thoughts go out of my head, right? That's a nervous response that we can absolutely work on and do.
And a lot of those folks themselves that are not used to, all right, because not used to being on the pulpit, not used to being on stage, not used to, giving that type of communication or speeches themselves all the time. It could be daunting.
Absolutely.
Right? Work with a lot of individuals and folks themselves inside our networks of helping people overcome some of those challenges themselves when it comes down to speaking in public. All right. You got Toastmasters, you got national speakers, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But you've got certain groups that really help, already, whether it is in the nuts and bolts of designing and helping the basics of beginning, middle, to end of communication, and then those themselves about the business of. And we'll get into that in a second. But here's the thing itself. Now we're really getting into the fine tune. All right, breathing. I tell people all the time, I says, the best thing for you to do is before you utter your first word, take the deepest breath you probably can.
Yes.
All right, and now allow the body to relax.
Exactly.
All right, and getting it up. And I'm sure that comes into play what you're doing too as well. Not breathing is that, but it's going to help with the rate, the pitch, the speed, the intonation.
Absolutely.
All right, and everything that we do to get our message clearly and concise. So for the listeners' ears, so they have a better opportunity or a greatest advantage of taking in the material.
Absolutely.
I think individuals themselves sense when they're extremely either nervous or they're in very unfamiliar territory.
And that is a natural bodily response, and it's been with us throughout human existence, right? We used to run from the tigers. That was the danger. Now we're perceiving that the danger is judgment,
Right.
failure, embarrassment, right? And
that's
that's what we're nervous about. I like to say that I build speakers from the inside out.
Good.
Because
Love
it's a great thing to do the exposure therapy like Toastmasters and others. You get the reps, you get more familiar, you begin to automate the thing. But I believe that and I've seen over and over again, when you have the understanding of what's going on within you, and you can begin to take control even before the nerves settle in, then you're that much more successful, and you like it.
Sure.
I want my people to love speaking, and that's really the ultimate goal, is to just love being in the room and communicating with people.
Or it's just communication.
Just
All right?
communication.
Individuals. You don't have to be on stage. It's just
Exactly. No, anywhere. In fact, the
business
word
environments,
public.
right, exactly.
People say I love this. I've heard it so many times. People say I'm great in a hallway conversation, but as soon as it's public speaking, I'm nervous. And I tell them, do you know what the word public means? It means of the people. One person is public speaking.
Yeah, right.
So you just have to adjust the way you look at it, and that is a process. But
unless you get a very rich person to pay you for speaking to one person, okay, maybe the public speaking or the speaking
that's
environment.
Right. But one person can make you nervous out of your mind.
Sure,
I could be very terrified sitting here speaking to you right now. One person.
So I'm terrified.
Oh, I'm always afraid of you.
That's wrong. All right. But, and I think of the fact itself is that I think more individuals themselves our communication is changing.
Yes.
And because of the technologies and
it.
different ways themselves, we're bridging into some of the uncharted waters of AI. We're bridging into a lot of areas themselves where folks themselves, even the generations, all right, they're not even communicating people to people, voice to voice, face to face. It's now becoming hiding behind that technology.
Yes.
Phones,
yes,
computers and things of this nature.
That's right.
So those folks themselves are probably going to be a little harder to draw out, all right, in this communication.
And we're already seeing it. Yeah. And I'm doing, in the last couple of years, I've done more work with, I would say, the 15 to 25-year-old age group who say a lot of what you just said.
Right.
Everything is in there, the talent, the ideas, the willingness, they want to be of service. They want to help, but when they have to communicate it, it's a challenge. And they themselves will say, I haven't had to do a lot of face-to-face speaking. How do I do that?
Right,
and so it's about drawing out the person, just like we said before.
So let's talk about a typical client, okay? Because we know we've been bridging through those individuals coming from Toastmasters, bridging those individuals coming from the national speakers world and other platforms and other programming itself that is trying to get folks themselves prepped up to working at hopefully a higher level or a better level of communication. So let's take us to a client, okay? What do you see are some of the major challenges that our audience itself will pick up on and say, oh yeah, I have that problem. Or not that I'm going to go out and hire a linguistic, all right, or a linguist, all right, but then the fact itself, so they recognize it. I think a lot of our business is about recognizing the things themselves we could try to do better with, all right, and try to get better, try to do things hopefully learning at a greater level.
I would say I could give two examples quickly. One would be the high-achieving professional, and this is becoming a more and more common client type that I see. The high-achieving professional, they are, if not at the top of their professional ladder, they are maybe one rung away from it.
Right.
And again, they're the technical expert. They are a known leader. They're respected, constantly given new opportunities, but have not yet found their voice and have put it off and put it off and put it off. And it's sort of the demon on the shoulder that they just can't shake. And so they come to me in a place and time where they're saying, I've got to get over this.
Right.
People need to hear from me. I've got to get over this.
Would you say that's an introvert, extrovert type?
It can be.
Okay.
But introverts can be great commurators.
Sure.
I'm an introvert.
They talk to themselves.
We're the best
Me, myself, and I.
conversationalists. But that's a matter of, and this is work I also do with certain individuals, is knowing what your energy patterns are, knowing when to use them, knowing when to rest and reset. Extroverts, you might think are great communicators, but sometimes they're not, because they over communicate.
Sure,
they take up too much space, right? So I would say that's not so much the issue that I see in the professionals. It's often the perfectionist and the person who, and sometimes this is the same person, feels they're an imposter.
Right.
They're predicting judgment before anyone else judges them, right? They're examining themselves way before the fact and deeming themselves a failure.
Right.
And so, as you might imagine, that gets the nervous system going before you even start. So I work with those individuals to help them recognize their expertise, why they're in the room, why they're called on to do, and to help them realize how much, in fact, they do know. And then we work on the breath and the body piece and the nervous system, and we help them be comfortable in the act of speaking. Another type that I really have enjoyed working with is the creative mind, who it could be a performance background that they're coming from, an actor or other performer, or it could be a creatively minded professional, someone I would say in the writing space.
Right. Okay.
They're running a business, but it's very creatively designed and executed.
Gotcha.
I love working with that type of mindset because they see possibility.
No, good.
But they might be coming from self-imposed judgments that have been in place for a long time. And one of my favorite clients in the last, I guess, about year and a half is someone who is a writer, has an ad agency, helps people tell their stories, and has done some nationwide ads that you and I would both recognize, but has a burden about his accent.
Okay.
Because he's from a region in the United States, the Appalachian region, strongly hello, linguist. Can you say the word? Identifiable accent.
Right? Exactly.
That he feels has created distance between himself and his clients.
Sure.
That the first thing they noticed is the way he sounds.
Right, exactly.
And as we all know, because we've confronted it at some point in our lives, people make judgments about you based on the way you speak.
Sure.
Insider, outsider, smart, not smart, whatever that might be.
Right.
And so it had become such a heavy burden for him that he wanted to do something about it. And he came with the initial request to change my accent, and it was pretty insistent. He wanted to shed that accent, move into another one. And we talked about it a little at the outset, and then we sort of backed off of that, and then we started to do the work. And about 3 or 4 weeks into it, he realized, wait a minute, I'm the one with the burden, not my listeners. Now, that did not mean that he no longer wanted to make the shifts, and we did. We looked at models of voices that he liked. We constructed a sound for him to move into, helped him get familiar with that. But then it became his choice as to when he could make that shift or go back into what was his native sound, because as he realized later, I don't want to lose that. That's the sound of home and friends and relationships.
That's right. Yeah.
I just want another option.
Sure.
And that's the power I like to give to clients. They have the option.
Self-realization that
absolutely
what they brought and what they were
in any of these
God-given abilities themselves have gotten them to that particular point, which I think is extremely important. Folks themselves, I would probably say, start off a little slower, bringing it a little bit more deeper. All right, and allow the individual in your voice to be personal. All right, and develop what we said before. It's your voice.
It's you. It's like a fingerprint, and you can modify it. You can enhance it. You can build it like you build any other thing. You build your body through exercise and healthy habits. You can build a voice that does what you want it to.
That's great.
But as professionals and creatives, we often think about the other products we're delivering, and we forget just how strong an impression, how big of an impact we have through our voices, and how much control we have.
Good deal. So we were talking about a little bit, we hedged into it, about your last accomplishment. Okay. Feat of magic. We've been there before. There's several of us had been before. You had just ended up already as the president of the Georgia National Speakers Association.
Indeed.
Okay. Now that's right up your alley. All right.
Is it?
Those are your peeps, all right, if I could possibly say. And those are the individuals themselves that you had the opportunity to interact with, okay? Individuals come to NSA to find a level of business opportunity, okay? And in the hopes themselves of finding a very, very unique position in the communication and or platform speaking world, okay? Speakers, trainers, educators, facilitators, those individuals themselves that want the main stage and they want to know more about what's going on. So let's take you down that road, all right, what you did differently, because every president comes in for the Georgia National Speakers, and I'm biased, okay, because I was past president.
Former president,
okay,
yes.
But I'm real biased because of the fact itself that we are probably one of the top 3, top 5 chapters.
Yes, we are.
Okay, in the country, and that's been noted for years.
It has.
Okay, and so why? Okay, you followed some sharp folk, and you got some folk. Not to say, what was the challenge? Tell me about it, because these are your peeps. These are the folks themselves that you were working with day in and day out, the type of people that you work with in the confines of your business day in and day out. And so now you're working with some folks themselves that could be a little challenging sometimes. All right?
Of course, but aren't we all?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, and let me start off, too, by properly acknowledging your leadership in this area and your support.
Well,
As I
thank you.
have been
Appreciate
president,
that. Thank
you were always a willing hand and a kind word in my ear when I needed it. And we use
Get out there.
get out there and do it. And we use your fabulous space here at Global Media Studios, and you make us shine and you make us look good.
Well,
and
thank
your
you. I
crew
appreciate
is the best there is. So we're very blessed to be here.
They are. Kudos to the crew. Thank you, guys.
crew.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You know, it's funny. I do say, in all honesty, I often joke about it, but you know, there's a grain of truth in every joke, that I fell into this backwards.
Okay.
And earlier I referenced imposters and people who feel like they don't belong in a space. I stepped into and I'm going to put it in air quotes, speaking world, feeling like I did not fit.
Okay.
And I joined at the urgency of a friend, a mutual friend we have, who, when she knew I was leaving my former life in academics to launch my business in speech, voice, and accent work, she said, well, you need to be part of NSA. And I didn't know what it was, but she made it sound amazing, so
National
I joined.
Security Administration, right?
I have a story about that as well.
When you do the Google search, unfortunately, you got to put it in the right way. You know.
So I joined and I came and I had probably the same first impression that a lot of people have, which is you have to be a keynote main stage speaker in front of thousands to be a speaker. And it took me a while to realize, wait a minute. And it was the same friend that caught me and called me out in a conversation when I said, well, I'm not really a speaker. She said, wait a minute. Have you taught classes? Have you directed programs? Do you do workshops? Do you have clients?
Just the way you said that, I know who you're talking about.
And I said, well, yes. And she said, you're a speaker.
That's right.
So to answer the question you asked a few minutes ago, what did I do differently as president? I was very sensitive to the fact that all of the people in the speaker industry come from different avenues, doing different things, applying different talents to solve different problems, and that when someone walks in the door of an NSA chapter, they need to feel right away that they are a speaker.
That's right.
I'm not someone who's thinking about speaking. You are a speaker. Let's use that word.
Sure.
Give
Part of the
yourself
family
label.
of, and many people have said that way.
Right. And so I constructed a theme to carry through the year around 3 benchmarks, I guess I would call them, that I wanted us to use as a chapter to encourage our members to build themselves up and to speak about themselves as speakers. And those 3 markers were the community you build, the content you're constructing or even improving, and the credibility that you have and that you build, that you should be speaking of those 3 things all of the time, building them, speaking about them, building them, speaking about them. And that after a year, you look back and you realize, I connected with some amazing people. I put new content out there that terrified me, but I did it. And I can speak to my own credibility now because I showed up and I did it consistently. And that really reflects what I've done in my own business. Most of it has terrified me, but you show up, you try it, and you help someone. and then you do it all the next day.
I'm a true believer that individuals themselves are not happenstance in this business. Alrighty. For those individuals themselves, they just don't trip over a log and say, well, I'm going to be a speaker, or I'm going to be a communicator, I'm going to be a presenter out there. The genres out there of content, story, humor, and entertainment already are those four bridges that bridge how individuals themselves kind of climb into this world. A lot of folks themselves from main stage itself will turn around and said, well, when I first started, I didn't realize that I could get paid for this.
Yes, heard that
And
many
we hear that
times.
time and time again.
Yes.
But I think it's very, very unique on the journey that individuals take in order to get to NSA, to get to that stage. I believe that story is ingrained in what we do. Okay,
Oh,
so
yes.
how we pull that out and how we show that this story comes alive, is the uniqueness and growth. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
Okay, and it's a journey. I've been doing this for many, many years. You've been doing this for many years, all right, and not realizing the fact that at a particular point, and I know who you're talking about, okay, but in that particular case themselves, knowing, you said it before, if you're communicating with one person, you're a speaker.
That's right.
Okay, and you're carrying on some sort of guidance or facilitation, all right, too. And so what we're doing is we're just going to open that group a little bit more, put a couple more people in chairs, a couple more people in the room.
That's right.
What it is that you have, all right, in individuals themselves that they bring to the stage, people really want to know. They want to understand what it is you do and how you do, why you do what you do. And I think that's the very uniqueness themselves out there. I see some folks themselves that are coming in through the NSA and they're going through ProPath and different types of programming and things of this nature, and they want to become this part, all righty? And I think that they're working really hard.
They are working hard.
And that's great to see.
And I see it everywhere,
especially for our profession. Is that a profession? Okay. But I'm a true believer spiritually itself, which got me here too as well. The man above is not going to put me in a position I can't handle.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
And so working to breathe, okay, and really starting that journey itself to get your position in place and what it is you want to accomplish out there. I think planning is going to be extremely important. And I think NSA is a big part of what they do from a planning standpoint, all right, to engage more in what we do. Every president coming in and every individual leader, okay, that's come in through the chapters of NSA and NSA Georgia bring their own
Absolutely.
bit of
That's what makes it
nostalgia,
wonderful.
their journey. Okay.
Their
And I
journey.
think that's what really makes the change or developing the reason for the season. Okay, out there.
And I think too, we all crave authenticity. That's a lot of the work I do as well, to help people feel authentic as speakers. I think that in this context, in the context of National Speakers Association at the chapter level or the national level, I mentioned earlier seeing someone on stage and thinking, I could never do that. That seems so far away. One of the things I wanted to do this year as president has been to close that gap a little bit.
Right.
And to be honest that, hey, I'm on a journey too.
Sure, exactly.
I'm learning something new every day. I mean, this year alone as president, I learned so much about layers of planning and production and crafting and experience that I'd done those things in other avenues,
Right,
but doing it
exactly.
here was a completely different animal.
Sure.
And along the way, meeting amazing people to teach you those things.
Sure.
You and your crew certainly, but other people who would come alongside and say, I got you. I know what you need here. Let me help you do that.
Right.
And that kind of growth in any profession is essential.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of the community that we have here at NSA Georgia, and I really do hope that every member who comes and stays and those who are starting to come back after some travels and being away will sense that they're stepping into a room where there is help available and an encouraging word around every corner. And
Family. I tell people all the time itself that I'm that close from being that far away every day. I've been doing this for a very long time.
have.
And I think this is the fact itself is that we still continue to climb and we still continue to crawl through the proverbial wreckage. Okay? All right. And so maybe it didn't go as well as you did or expected to see it that time, but there's always next time.
It's a rep.
And your job is to
Yeah.
leave memorable, to leave, in the words of Mr. Les Brown.
That's right. I
Leave
was
your
gonna quote him
spirit.
earlier.
Leave your spirit on.
Yes.
And that's the journey. I think it's pretty wild. Of the accomplishments themselves, we'll finish up here. Is the accomplishments from NSA and everything you've done in the past themselves. How did NSA and the people, the family, really help you? All right, to start working toward the next journey. Now they got you. You're a past president right now, so you're
right.
in for the haul.
Still on the board,
still on the
still
board, still
serving.
doing exactly. All right.
I believe the greatest source of help from my NSA family has been they have encouraged me to seek help when I need it. I'm an independent person. I'm a thinker. I'm an overthinker, and I tend to try to attack the problem myself. But there's so many resources around me, and they're all waiting to be asked.
That's right. Yeah.
Just ask. And one of the beautiful things I've found, and NSA believes in building a bigger pie.
That's right.
The spirit
Exactly.
of Cabot. There's room for
exactly.
everyone. I have yet to make a request of someone to ask a simple or even a complex question and not have the experience of being poured into.
Yeah, right.
It's not
exactly.
just a quick answer. It's deep questions to help draw out the better issue or the deeper issues I'm having. They really want to help.
Sure. Exactly.
And I see it over and over and over again. And I haven't seen that spirit of generosity in many places in my professional life.
Right, exactly.
But it exists within NSA.
That's great. That's great to know itself. That's great to know the folks themselves. It's not only from a local Georgia perspective, but it's from a national perspective.
Absolutely.
I'm keen with those guys all the time and everything else like this. And it's just, it's this extended family.
It really is.
Hopefully I don't have to feed all these
Surprisingly
people.
so.
I want to let those guys take care of it. Right? But Leslie, one last thing you'd like to leave our viewers with today.
You've got a voice. It's uniquely yours, and it's given to you to use in service to others.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that.
I believe that with all my heart.
Good. Well, so today, folks, I'm sitting here with Dr. Leslie Gordon, and we're talking about your voice. We're talking about how you approach your level of communication, how and what you're doing in order to convey, all right, that opportunity of creating your unique voice, all right, pitch, rate, speed, all right, and how you're working and developing the relationship with people, all right, because people themselves. Hopefully we can get back to that whole area of opportunity of talking, all right, face to face again.
Yes.
But Leslie, if folks themselves wanted to reach out to you, okay, what is the best way that they can reach you?
They can find me at my website, which is just lesliegordonspeech.com.
Good.
I'm on LinkedIn, Leslie Gordon PhD, I
Good.
think is my handle. I've also got an Instagram page. There's a Facebook page. I don't do X, Twitter,
Yeah,
whatever we're calling it these
sure,
days.
exactly.
That's about the only one I don't do. And I'm not brave enough for TikTok yet, but
Good enough.
maybe
Superb.
this year.
Yeah, you and me both, right? We'll see what happens. Folks themselves, it's been another session, a great opportunity yourself to talk with Dr. Leslie Gordon
Thank you,
herself
Rich.
on the
Always fun.
communication sides of the world. So we want to thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you later on. Take care. God bless.